So welcome to the show. Thank you so much, Crae and Flow, for joining us today. How are the machines treating you guys lately?
Vegas has been a little tight lately.
Yeah.
Here at home, it's been up and down, some good, some bad. But we're going back to Vegas in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll see. The first of the year, I think, is always a little tight.
I can't imagine, I love playing slots, but I can't imagine doing it as much as influencers do and having it be such a kind of central part of your life and your business. And maybe before we get to some of the games and some of the other stuff I'm excited to ask you about, can you give us a quick version of how you both got into this niche of slot streaming and maybe some of your background with casino or slots, or what led you to get into where you are right now?
Sure. So we are both longtime gamblers. Our families like to gamble, cards, tables, slots. So it's not just slots. Angelo is actually a filmmaker, and when he first started, working on short films and things like that, he was developing his skills and building audience. So he just started filming everything. And so on one of our Vegas trips, shortly after COVID, he's like, I'm just going to film some content, see how it goes. On the phone, nothing fancy in the beginning. And we threw it up online, and it kind of took off. So we were like, oh, well, that might be a great place to learn how to build an audience, a community, lots of editing skills. And we've just stuck with it. We're in another niche as well that he was in first. So in the automotive space. And so we had some idea about how social media works, but we've learned so much in the last 2 years. It's really been a very educational journey for both of us.
That's so exciting. So it's fair to say that you were already playing slots and you decided to turn the cameras on and start posting what you guys were already passionate about.
Yep.
I started playing slots like around 18 years old. Literally on my birthday, my mom took me to Jackson Rancheria when it was 18 and over. That night, like, it's been a part of my life the whole time. Yeah.
That's cool.
And same in my family. Like when you turn 21, you have a party in Reno or Vegas or somewhere.
I've met so many families like that where it's really like a family activity that people love to do. It's such a fun way, like a destination trip and stuff you can do. That's really cool. Where you got, before you mentioned you decided to film yourselves playing slots and posted it. Had you been familiar with slots content, or had you been watching anything like that before that?
Definitely.
Yeah. Can you tell me kind of how you got into it and what caught your attention about that, about this niche of content?
Well, in the very beginning, it was very, YouTube was starting and people who were posting was all sneak recording. And back then, the phones wasn't that great. So 720p, 420p, like very low grade. But I remember watching SD guy 1234. That's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
what about Diana?
Diana Ivani, all of them, right?
He used to be a total fangirl, still is, for Diana.
But I remember they would show certain games at certain casinos, and I would see what they won, and I had no idea about slots back then. I was still learning, what games are popular, what actually wins. So my analytical mind went to like, oh, look, she posted a huge win on this Clue game. I remember this at Bellagio. And so did he. And they were always there. So I remember I would go to Vegas just to go look for those games and hopefully try to strike a win from that. So it kind of grew from there, more informational of what to play, what's good, what's not. That's how I liked it. It was fun.
And we watched BC and NG a lot as well.
Yeah.
Back then.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like such a cool opportunity to learn, for people to learn about different games, but also how to play, play in a informed way, I guess, right? Like, it seems like an educational opportunity for slots influencers. And I've seen some of that kind of content on your channel, and I'd love to ask you about some of the ways that you guys play. But first, I was curious, what's it been like? I know you haven't been doing the channel for too long, and, the whole space has kind of heated up during that period. What's it been like from your perspective, being an influencer and participating in that?
I think, from a budget perspective, we're very conscious about that and responsible gaming. I'm more of a low roller and he's a big bettor. That's one of the jokes on our channel. But we've seen a lot of people come and a lot of people go. So we look up to others above us and have asked for advice. And in the beginning, Good Life 88 was one of those people who gave us advice. But we do the same for those coming behind us. Like, hey, we learned this isn't good, or, we tried this tract and that didn't work for us. Sharing our experience. We're very much about community building in our other space as well. So that's important to us. It's not just, hey, we know what we know and we're not going to share that. It's more, we all win together. So I think that's making the space very interesting. It is causing a big separation, right? Because you had the big guys and then you kind of had some of us that were smaller, but especially with Vegas Matt making the $1 million, right? Or making the 1 million followers and playing the $1 million. That I think really started to separate the niche more. So I think it's going to get interesting now on how properties, online casinos, etc., kind of utilize us in that space. I think it's going to get, it'll be more targeted and more serious. Yeah, I agree. But we've mostly been about trying to collab with others, really making relationships with properties. We have a great relationship with Ellis Island. Nick has been super educational for us as too. He's taught us a lot about the industry. I'm an accountant by trade, so this was nothing that I had in any of my background. So really learning how things work, how machines work, how it works for the casino versus the manufacturer, and we love to learn. So those relationships have taught us a lot.
That's really cool. I mean, it seemed like such a big milestone when Vegas Matt hit 1 million subs, but it was also just kind of like how his rise over the last 2 years or since he started posting videos was different than other channels. I'm curious, where do you think this is going, and where, do you think that someone else is going to come up the same way Vegas Matt did and blow up even bigger? Or how do you see the space developing? You mentioned it getting more serious. What does that look like?
Well, I've been predicting for like the past year now that I feel more celebrities are going to come into it, and it's going to take it to that next level just because, the money and revenue, it's a different way of making money and revenue. If you are in that top tier and you already have a following, the problem is, when you're starting out, you have to create a following, someone to like you and be a little bit different, or your personality. Vegas Matt, he started off guns blazing with his bankroll and his personality, his charm. I mean, that's kind of hard to beat. But I think that's where it's going to head next. I think more celebrities, more, say, like B group, C group celebrities are going to start coming into it. Yep. And I think it's going to take it from there. It's going to get more and more serious.
I think gambling was kind of taboo before, right? And it's not. So even some of these young IG and TikTok influencers, we see them coming into the space already, more so on the tables, right? Playing craps, playing cards. Steve will do it, others. I think you're going to continue to see that because they're already making content. This is just a pivot for them to a different type of content.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, even, in the rest of the influencer world, a medium-sized influencer who decided to start playing slots could become the biggest slots influencer overnight. It's sort of, I don't know if you guys have followed the stories of, crypto influencers like Trainwrecks and Rothstein, but that's sort of what happened with Trainwrecks. Like, he just decided to start playing slots and was immediately on day one the biggest slots influencer in the world.
Just like that,
Yeah, so I agree. That's a really interesting insight. We talked a little bit about the education opportunity for slots fans, and at SlotsFan.com, our mission is to help slots players have more fun and to play responsibly. And we feel like, there's a bit of a responsibility on our side as we're marketing, and same with influencers. And I'm curious, how do you guys approach that topic on your channel, given that we are marketing an activity that can be dangerous and does require a level of education and responsibility? Is that something that is a factor for you, or how do you approach that with your content?
That's for me, especially, that's like been a big thing from the beginning, especially when we're doing the bigger bets. I want to be very realistic about that. We created a series, the Stuck on a Bet series that we've been doing too, that are very expensive, and how we play for content is not necessarily how we play when we're just out playing to have fun. So we make it really clear how important bankroll management is and leaving with a budget. And it's funny you asked this, because wasn't it last night or the night before? We actually got a comment from someone that said, I'm going to have Crae record her voice saying, Flo, we have a budget, so that I can take it to the casino with me. But that's really what we do. You know, I have my thing where we put $100 in, every time we double, I cash that out. Not allowed to play with those vouchers till the very end, and we make a decision to then put the bankroll through again or not, depending on where we're at. So we talk about that. We talk about how it needs to be from the entertainment budget. It shouldn't be anything that's coming from your family budget. You know, we have kids, they're both in college. You know, we make it clear I still have a full-time job. To us, it's really about, this is just like any other entertainment factor. If you play softball, if you love sports and you love going to sporting events, those all cost money too. So, and you'll hear us on the live. People laugh and they make fun of me because I'm like, well, you can do the big bets if you want, but then the live might end early because the budget is the budget. And once it's gone, we're done.
That's a great point. I mean, it can be hard. Like, I think we can all relate to situations where it can be hard to stay within your budget and it can be hard to walk away. It sounds like you have each other to support each other, and that sounds valuable. Has there been anything else that you've learned to put things in perspective in moments like that, and to kind of to be able to walk away in those tough times? Because personally, I can relate to it being challenging to do that at times.
So I mean, this is the thing as a creator, you know, you can go and say, I'm gonna bring $2,000 to the casino on this trip. That's it. And you go there, lose everything, and you don't even make a video. Like, you don't get a win, no bonus, no nothing, right? What do you do with that footage? Now, this is the marketing problem of owning a channel that people don't realize in the beginning. Right. In the beginning, I posted like all 10 hand pays that we built up over time. It had a strong start. And then from there, that's where the grind starts. You go to the casino, you make content, and then it goes completely wrong every time sometimes. You know, you can't predict what's going to happen at the casino. So it's trying to, I have a whole model of how I release my content. That's one thing people should be doing, I think. I have my filet mignon, I like to call it. I have the hand pays, small bet, big win, big bet, big win. And then I have my medium cuts and like trash videos. I would like to just feel like a daily day, just something to post, like us trying a challenge and we lose. But I try to keep it, you know, interesting enough where not everything is a win, because it's never like that. We try to keep it real, but I like to let out some big wins here and there. So if you're starting and you're doing something like that, I would just say, keep your big wins. Don't just post them right away. Kind of just, you know, bring out the content.
Be thoughtful about how you're curating your content
and how you're looking, your image, if anything.
Right.
You don't want to be like, I'm Vegas Matt, and then tomorrow I'm gonna post, you know, $2 bet bonus. You know,
right. I switched it all.
That's horrible. Don't do that.
Consistency is so important, and that's kind of where I was going. Curate your community too, right? Like, our community knows they're going to see a lot of low rolling and a few high bets, and we're going to YOLO it every now and then. And a lot of times we're going to lose on those high bets, and we share that losing content because we want them to see reality. But that's kind of the community we've built, right? And so as others are new or come into the community, we're just very real with them. If they're like, what are you doing with these low bets? Where I'm like, we're probably not the place for you.
Right.
Vegas Matt is, or NG is, or, you know, send them to another influencer who's going to be their cup of tea.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? I'm shocked how far we've gone for what we're doing, to be honest with you. So I'm very happy with it. Yeah,
it's really interesting. I mean, I think there's so many channels now. There's kind of a different like genre or different TV channel of slots for everybody's tastes. And it sort of seems to me like there is, I don't want to say there's fatigue, but there are a lot of really big bets that people can't totally relate to. So I do think that there's a place for relatable bets that, you know, and then it's all relative, right? Like, you're betting a $1, $1,000 win is massive. You're betting $1,000. Like, how big does a win have to be really truly?
Exactly. I get comments like that every day, and I try to explain, you know, and it's all it's relative, and it's just, you know, when you create your channel, everyone's welcome. I mean, it literally takes a cell phone. I mean, you don't even have to edit if you really don't want to. I've seen that, like. And you can blow up perfectly fine, no problem, right? It's just, you're representing yourself, just kind of know have a business plan. That's the main thing I want to get at, because most people don't have that. I've seen that. And then a year later goes by and they're like, oh, but then I want to take it more seriously. So I think if you start a channel, focus, get on what you want to do, get a business plan going, and then succeed. You got this. Yeah.
It seems like it's a tough niche.
It is
maybe
very
because of the money. It's not like you're doing something that you can do for free in your own house to make content like a lot of other channels. So definitely seems unique in that way. I'm curious to get some of your expertise on tips for players. Like if we're talking to the players out there, what are some tips? They could be advice or even mistakes that people might be making that are maybe costing them money, costing them fun, or stuff that they just don't even know about. Do you have any casino tips for our viewers to help them win more, have more fun, be safer?
The great debate around to use your player card or not to use your player card. Everybody's superstitious about it. Yeah. I will say this, loyalty matters in the casino world, right? So first thing I would say is pick the properties that are your vibe and that you want to play out regularly. Because if you spread your love all over a million properties, you're not going to get significant comps from anybody. So that's number one, right? So concentrate your play because you're going to get more free play. You're going to get free food. You're going to get rooms. You're going to get to go to shows, all the other things you like to do, right? And then think about what your budget is relative to a property.
Yes.
If you're not a whale, Bellagio might not be the place for you, right? Because the level of comps that you're going to get are different. And you'll see that in our play. We go play at Caesar's High Limit Room because we love it. We go to Resorts World High Limit Room. But a lot of our play is at Ellis, at Jackson, at Grayton, at places where our budget is appreciated and it goes further.
And we get something
those things
in return.
We get back.
Yes, exactly.
That's cool. And the vibe's also different if you're depending on, what you're looking for.
Right.
I love Ellis Island. It's such a such a warm reception at that place every time I've been there. There's a lot of hospitality. That's really
everybody
cool.
Remembers your name. They greet you.
It's different. Yeah. We like that.
So you said the great debate about using your player's card. This is referring to the idea that using your player's card could actually hurt your chances of winning.
Yes, we hear that all the time. Yeah.
Do you believe that?
This is my true philosophy on how gambling works. There are formulas, and the machine has a return to player percentage and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's about being in the right place at the right time and hitting the button at the right time. So it really comes down to luck. And I don't think the player card, Nick said this to us once. I love it. He's like, wouldn't I want to give somebody like you all the wins that comes here every month, right?
No doubt.
So if properties could do that, they would do that accordingly. And I don't see that because we go at Ellis is a perfect example. We go to all their VIP parties with their other VIPs. And some of us win sometimes and some of us lose sometimes. We're always like, who's the winner this time, right? It's reality of gaming. So I just think you can look at things like, a maxed out major or things like that to say, hey, maybe a machine's going to hit, right? So some people believe in advantaged play. And everybody's entitled to their opinion. But in my heart of hearts, it's really about you're the lucky one who hit the button at the right time when the machine was ready to pay. So to me, it's more about machines that get traffic than anything else, right? So when I go to a casino, I want to know the machines that everybody's playing. That's my only tip or trick.
Well, I'll agree with her on that tip. It's a great one. It's simply, the layout of the casino. The ones in the dead zone, I usually don't play, meaning it's in the corner somewhere. You don't ever see someone on. It's usually Dragon Links that we mostly play just because people love that game. And the turnover, the good and bad's going to happen a lot faster than most. And also, let's speak on the $1,000 major. Now, that's great, on a Dragon Link. Those, I swear, to 900, late 900 major to 1,000 max, it'll be like that for days usually.
Yeah,
so don't get whacked stuck a little on bit. That. We've won more majors on the $500 to $600 range, if you really think about it. And those are the ones most people don't play because they want the higher major. I get it. It makes sense.
And when you're talking about the the layouts of casinos as a way, can you expand on that at all? In terms of what, because you have to pick some game to play. You have to,
That's right.
It's fun also to have, theories or superstitions and stuff. So can you walk someone through how you approach that? How do you approach a casino layout and where are you looking? You said not in the corners, not where the games are kind of tucked away. What catches your attention and how do you make your decisions?
high traffic areas, if they have a new game area, like Sahara has that now, they have this little corral, I'll call it, where the new games are. People want to play the new games. So I'm expecting those games are getting played. Usually games that are around walkways, so on the natural pathways of the casino, are ones that we see get played a lot. And then looking for those big brand names that we all love, right? All the versions of Huff and Puff, the Dragon Links, the Ultimate Fire Links, Mystery of the Lamp now, right? It's become a lot more popular. We see that a lot. So games that we know are popular, that are people have seen them online or they've heard about them, they're just going to get more traffic. They're usually the ones that are harder to get on. And think about Yamava, right? 2 stories of fun. That's one of our favorite casinos, right? There's Dragon Links all over the place. There's a reason for that, because people will be too deep waiting to get on those machines. We tend to be late night gamblers, so once it starts to die down a little bit, we'll go to those areas that we know had a lot of traffic and play in those areas, especially when it's a new casino to us that we haven't kind of had that experience before, to see like where are the hand pays happening, what machines are they hitting on. Think about that when you're in a property, right? Angela always says it's quiet in here, or it's dead in here. That's a reality, we believe. Like if things are going off, then there's a chance that things have been cycled enough in that particular area.
That's why I like high limit rooms, because it's very simple. Every casino has a high limit room. It's in so much of a space. All those games in there. I start paying attention once we're in there. She'll play, and I'll start looking around. A lot of times, if you ever see me, I'm observing. I'm seeing if people are winning, losing. I'm kind of just watching with the vibe, and I'm seeing if you go enough to a casino, once a week, once a month, you'll start seeing the same games hitting hand pays or hitting majors, or it's just giving a lot of action versus other ones. So repetition really comes into the factor, honestly.
Yeah. Is there any truth to the idea that people are, like you said, observing? Do you watch someone else playing and see what's happening on the game they're playing? And depending on what happens and when they get up, is that a factor? Like, are you looking at games like that?
Most definitely I am. I'm always, when she's playing, I'm looking around. If I'm seeing some guy who has put $5,000 into a Dragon Link, I'm like, let's try some $5 bets over there. And then hopefully we can get, scrape by and get some $200-$300 win, and we'll be happy with that. I'm looking for those kind of opportunities. Just from the fact of money in, money out. If it's all this money just went in, it could have hit the grand. I don't know. But to me, it just makes more sense as a gambler. Where the money's being put in, I'm going to go play and try to get, scalp a win.
Right. I think of it as like going through the cycle, right? So if you've seen a bank be busy all day or all weekend that you've been somewhere, and now it's Monday afternoon and you're going to play and it's quiet, well, unless that one hit big, it's been fed a lot. So thinking of that cycle concept, that it's got to hit it, based on a return to player percentage, that's our thought. Now, there's no science behind it. That's just our personal experience. And how we go about it. But I think it's hard to say that something is advantaged play. I think on old real games, and we like to play those too, the real machines, things were a little bit different. But on these digital machines that have so many combinations, so many denoms, right? It's a little bit harder to have that advantaged play, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you do have to choose some machine to play at, so you might as well have fun trying to work it out. I mean, it's kind of weird, right? It's like if you flip a coin 9 times and it comes up heads every time, it doesn't mean that the 10th one has any more, but somehow it's supposed to even out over time, so it sort of seems like it should. That's really interesting. Yeah. I'm curious if you have any other tips for players. I know changing bet sizes is a popular one that I personally feel like it is worth doing, probably superstition based. Do you guys do that? Do you have any other I don't want to use the word strategies, but techniques or theories or anything else that are fun and may help people?
Well, that's why we love the Stuck on a Bet challenge, because we've proven that from, we're playing, was it first 50 cents, I think it was 15 minutes or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
$100 in, and that lasted like 2 hours. We couldn't believe it. We stayed on 50 cents the whole time. We couldn't leave until we won or lost. Like we doubled or nothing. 2 hours. Like we literally.
And then we lost.
Yeah, we lost. But it's amazing. For 50 cents on $100, you can have that many hours of, like, if you're in Vegas, free drinks, like that's a great tip, honestly. But once we started going to the dollar and going up, it was crazy how much,
especially $2 range. Yeah.
Yeah, the cash flow and the burn rate was just insane, right?
Yeah. And it was very hard to stay on a bet because, like exactly what you're saying, we like to jump around. So I have favorites that I usually start on. Like I like 5 cents, 125, 250s on most machines. Flow likes $5, any denom. So we usually start out with, kind of our go-tos, the ones we've gotten hand pays on in the past or that we just feel recycle well too, right? Because that's another tip. Recycling is winning, right? If you can play at the casino for hours and walk out with your money, that's a win in my book, right? So we usually start on those and then, okay, that's working or it's not working. And then we start jumping around.
Yeah, like, so for Genghis Khan, for instance, on Dragon Link, I don't like small bets on that one simply because when you do get the bonus and let's say you get a full row of 2x, it doesn't really pay much. It's one of those games where you win or you lose. It's very, very volatile, right?
Yeah.
So that one I always do $1 denom or $2 denom. It's $5 bet or $10 bet. And I've seen it. We've literally seen this happen multiple times. It's crazy. Someone puts $100 in, $1 denom, 5 lines, $5 bet. They get the bonus, 2x all across. It was $5,000. No later, she puts another $100 in after getting a hand pay. She literally lands it again. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, we watched that one lady that time. Just keep winning it.
So it's more or less like, that game, I'd rather play higher denomination and higher because it's concentrating your money into the lines so that when you get the 2x, it'll multiply like crazy. And when we were playing like regular game, Buddha, what's his name?
Golden Happy
Century,
and Prosperous and Golden Century.
Those will completely play low roll on those, and it's a totally different strategy.
That's really interesting. Do you think there's is there a right way to play slots and or like a beginner way? Are there people out there who are not playing slots the right way, or is there any kind of when you look at poker or something like that, it's easy to see a beginner. Mm-hmm. Is there any parallels or anything that people can learn to become quote unquote better slot players?
I don't think of it like that because to me, most people who are playing slots are not someone who's going in to win big money. Yeah. They're going in to have fun. And you can have fun at any denom. I think poker is when you start to become like a professional gambler. And there's definitely strategies, baccarat, craps if you set dice, those kinds of things. That's a little bit different, right? Because there is, there's card counting, there's all these other things that you think you could have the potential to have some kind of control over, right?
No
on a slot, you don't know how much it's been played. You don't know where it is.
It's life cycle.
You don't know which denom was the last one that paid out. You have no clue about any of that. So I think it's very hard to be an advantaged player in the slot world. And so I say maximize what if your goal is to get a lot of hand pays and win big bets, it's going to be rare to do that on anything under $2. It can happen. I've proved it, but it's not, you're not going to get a lot of hand pays like that. This is the joke between us before we had the channel. I hardly had any hand pays because I was your 50 cent, $1, $1.25 was spending a lot of money, kind of better because I wanted to play all night and talk to my neighbors and have a good time, right? So whereas Flo's running around the casino betting $5, $25, and one of two things usually happened. He came back with a whole bunch of hand pays and a whole lot of money, or he came back with goose egg, right? So it really is kind of, and that goes back to that walking away. We have a joke, we call it wife taxing, that started when we used to play separately. I'd be like, okay, you won, I get half of that. So, and we do that to our friends too. but I think it really comes down to, why are you going to play slots? And if you're there to have a good time, and depending on what your budget is, you should pick your bet accordingly.
So it sounds like a good slots player is someone that knows how to have fun playing slots. I would say there's superstition, but not using a player's card when you're putting money into machines could be considered like not being a good slots player, maybe just leaving value on the table.
Leaving value. Yeah, I love how you said that. That's absolutely it. the way I think about it is the properties want to reward you for your loyalty, just like you have a Safeway card or any other loyalty program card. Every store has one, right? The casino's no different. They want to track your play and reward you accordingly for what you're bringing to their property. So you're walking away from that. Those benefits are there for everybody. You don't have to do anything but play with that card to get them.
A lot of those casinos, there's only so many new casino goers every year, thinking about it, going to that property. So a lot of their money being made is from return players. So therefore, you'd want to maximize if you lose this trip, like that happens all the time. All right, we lost this one, they got us. But the next trip, we blow up and win double the amount and we get all the free comps. So then it starts evening out towards the end. Yeah. That's how we like it.
You mentioned, and I've experienced it too, that the rewards and offers are very different depending on the level of property. You mentioned Bellagio versus Ellis Island, for example. I'm curious if you can put it into context for people that may not use cards or not be familiar with what you get, like, a regular tourist type person going to Vegas, playing at Ellis Island, for example, and having a budget of $1,000, for example, and spending that budget in a weekend. What could they expect to get in terms of offers? Or maybe if you want to choose a different number, but if you could put it into context for people, I think it would be helpful and maybe get people off the fence about using their player's card. Yeah.
So first off, I was very big on Total Rewards. I love their properties and their reward system. Love the rooms and everything else. But then through time, it's starting to get tougher and tougher to get the same benefits that we were getting. Mm-hmm. They started taking more away. So for us, we love Ellis Island because we're literally playing the same way we've been playing.
So what I would say the difference is this, right? At Ellis, at $1,000 bet level on a regular basis, Nick can tell you the exact numbers, but I would say from what we have observed and in our time that we've played there, if you're playing there regularly, you're going to get a comped room. You're going to get food. And you're not going to have to ask for it. This is this new tactic, and maybe this is a NorCal. I see it in Vegas too. So in NorCal now, a lot of the casinos used to you would swipe your card. You'd have, based on your play when you were there last time, you'd have a tile to click for a meal comp or some amount of money towards meals and free play. So there's lots of casinos in Northern California now that don't do anything with meals unless you go ask or unless you have a host. And depending on the size of player you are, oftentimes you're not going to have a host, especially if you're just starting out in gaming. Whereas when you go to somewhere like Ellis, you're going to have those already on the kiosk when you swipe your card. And if you're a bigger player, Nick's just going to say, call me. I'll take care of all your reservations. You're going to charge everything to the room. Ellis takes care of their players. I see that at other similar sized casinos as well that we go to. Jackson, Grayton's rewards have changed. I don't see it at the same level that it used to be before. Yamava is a great property where you're going to at least get meal comps and depending on your play rooms. Now, the difference is the type of room that you're going to have at a smaller property is different than the type of room that you're going to have at the Bellagio, right? Mm-hmm. So it's what's important to you. Yeah. We care less about how the room is going to be bougie because in reality, we're not spending much time in that room, right? But I'd rather be able to eat the whole weekend for free at Alice than to have one meal comped at the Bellagio because, food, it's like $40 for a burger. I'm exaggerating, $20 for a burger, right? But it depends on the experience you're after. So if you're a regular player going to play to have fun, these smaller properties, you're going to get free play always, some amount. You're going to have good experiences. They're going to remember you. There's going to be all the prizes and things like that. At a bigger property, you're one of a much bigger number. Yep. And they're going to cater to people at the higher end who are spending at the higher end. So in our experience, and we played a lot of, I think last year we played at 20 different properties. And, that's about normal for us in a year, 15 to 20 properties. And I would say, and some in Vegas, we at least stop in every trip. The offers we get from them are very different than the offers that we get from the smaller properties. And we used to be diamond and platinum at Total Rewards and whatever that high level was you were at M Life too. So
below Nor, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Your $1,000 on the strip, I mean, I doubt if you even get a discounted room, to be honest, in today's world. And it's so tight, to be honest. It's crazy. They're really penny pinching people there.
You know, at Ellis or a place at a similar level, what do you think is the minimum? Like, what's the threshold for getting a comped room in terms of money that you would have to play with?
That's a good question.
Just like, what do you ballpark it at?
I can say that, like, our friends have been there whose budgets are probably in that range for a weekend, right? Would you say that? Maybe less. So I would say budget plus not just necessarily coin in, but you win and you're putting that back in. I would say a budget in that range. We've had friends that have gone with us who've gotten comps from Alice that they have a free weekend the next time they go. Maybe they have the room and they had some food and beverage comped as well. So
some takeaways: pick the place that's good for you because you'll be staying there if you're earning comps, but also think about the level of property that you're at, and it's going to reflect the level of budget or comps that you're going to get. And also, don't spread it all out all over the place. If you concentrate your play in one place and use a card, you're going to get the most out of your rewards.
Yep.
I just think it depends on what you're going to Vegas for. If you're a person who goes to Vegas twice a year, no matter what, and you're just there for a good time, staying at Bellagio or Fontainebleau, you can afford the price. You're not worried about comps or nothing because you already know what you're going there for. You've saved up. Totally different. We go to Vegas sometimes twice, 3 times a month. So we're there often. I don't care we've done the strip things, 8 years ago. We've done all that many, many times. We're there everywhere for content. We're there to have fun. And we like to go to a place where we don't have to worry about nothing. We don't have to worry about how much does this cost? How much does that cost? And everything's taken care of. We go there, we play, and we leave. We love it.
Do you guys like food?
Yes.
Do you eat food in Vegas? I'm always on the lookout for restaurant tips. Do you guys eat off strip or like away from the properties at all? What are your favorite restaurants there?
We eat a lot at Ellis because we stay there and they have multiple restaurants on property. We like staying at the Fontainebleau and we like their restaurants.
The room service is fire.
Yeah.
Expensive.
It's expensive though. So that's again one of those times. Mm-hmm. So I talked about we were in another niche. Sometimes we're in town filming for that other niche and we'll stay at the Fontainebleau because we're not really there. We're going to do some gambling because you can't have us in a casino and not gamble. But our focus is a little bit different. So we may come in at the start of that trip and stay at the Fontainebleau because I want to soak in the tub. Our other content is like filming car shows. I may have walked all day for 10 hours, right? So I want to go soak in the tub and I want room service and I want all of those things. We might be there for 2 days and then we're going to go to Ellis and stay for another 3 days, right? So I would say our food, we also eat at all, like the taqueria, El Gordo, isn't it called, across the street from Resorts World.
Fire. The buffets, now that's an ongoing battle. Most people, Bacchanal or
the Wynn.
Yes.
We did a video on this on one of our channels, and we have a great debate with our friends, and we make everybody go to both.
The Wynn buffet is the best. I don't care what anyone says. Like, there's no doubt. Like, first of all, Bacchanal doesn't even have chocolate donuts, okay? Last time I went there, I was getting so mad. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you not have chocolate donuts?
Simmer down. We also go to like Zippy's. We went to Zippy's that opened, Flo's Hawaiian, and we love Zippy's in Hawaii. And I think they're still getting things right over there, but we'll be back. So that they had all kinds of cakes. They had great food. So we're pretty much, we'll go out and investigate and try anything. So we're the type of people that every now and then we like to go have that really nice food experience. We've been to Gordon Ramsay.
Love them.
What else are some of the ones that we go to? We like the Gordon Ramsay burger place. So we really try it all, including, the taco stand.
There's so much good stuff to choose from there.
Yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned staying at Fontainebleau and, some of the prices for the bigger strip properties can get pretty crazy these days. And it seems like everything has an extra charge to do anything. And, everything costs money. But it kind of made me think of, since you guys are playing slots, if you ever have any big hits, big wins, then you could choose pretty much anywhere to stay. And on that topic, I wanted to ask you guys if you have any big win stories, any, maybe your biggest win story, your most memorable win story that you could share with our viewers who may not, and maybe they could even go check it out on your channel if it happened on camera too.
So my biggest win ever It was at Crae and Resort and Casino, and I was betting a $25 bet. Now I had a couple $100, and I was getting so tired of betting low bets, up and down, up and down. It was a game of where you're playing, but you're not winning, but you're not losing. I'm more of a gambler. I just want to know, am I going to win or lose? Like I get angry after a while. I just want to know.
$25 bets with a couple $100 bankroll you'll get a result pretty quick.
Right. So I'm like, okay, I love that's my rush. That's what I'm getting from gambling, the adrenaline rush. I'm like, let's do $25. Like my heart's pumping. I'm loving it. I could be a millionaire. I'm going broke. I love it. That's the feeling I love. So I go to $25 bets. I press it second time and boom, it lands the mega and the major. It was $13,420.
Yep, on cash falls.
Wow. Crazy. And that video did horrible because no one really likes that game. But that was my biggest win ever, and I couldn't believe it. And she wasn't even there.
No, he was there with He was there with his mom and one of our friends, and he called me up like at 3 a.m. to tell me that he won. It woke me up.
It was crazy.
Well,
so
hopefully you'll get a few more views on that video from this. Go check it out.
So mine happened recently. My biggest ever was a $7,000 one at Grayton. And then recently we were in the Resorts World, and it was really like a night. Here he goes with the starting it. So we like to play at Resorts World late at night, kind of like after everybody's been in there playing.
Again, going back to the strategy.
Yep, and that's one of our comeback. Yeah, and it's one of our comeback places. We don't do well out on the floor there, so we just go specifically to play in the high limit room. And we started out, I think it was on Mystery of the Lamp, right?
Yes.
I had like $200 of free play or something like that, right? And we started out on Mystery of the Lamp, and I hit. So then he's like, okay, my turn, bigger bets. And we started moving around, and we ended up on Tiki Fire, the Lightning Link machine. And we had seen somebody get $1,000. That machine pays, by the way. There's a tip in Resorts World.
Prior times to the Resort World high limit room, we've literally seen a lady bang $1 denom, $25 bet, and she hit the grand. First time we've seen that.
In person.
So when you go into the room, I'm scanning, we're filming content, but I'm always looking at which ones are hot, which ones are constantly paying. You go in that room, you'll see $10,000 bands, $5,000 bands next to the machines. People are putting serious cash, $100,000 in machines. Like, it's crazy.
So
that was the one.
So we go to Tiki Fire, and Flo was in charge of the bets because we were up. And I don't even remember the bet. How sad is that?
It was 50. Then we went to doing 25s, but that was the $50 bet.
It was the $50. So 50, and I think it was actually an accident. I pushed the wrong button, right? Maybe on the $50 bets, and I won $11,000. That's my biggest ever. And then the crazy thing is, we did the next spin, we hit it again, and got another $5,000. So that night in that room, we got over $22,000 in hand pace. We had never in our lives had a run like that. Now, of course, we put like $5,000 back. And then the next day we went to the bank and took the 15 and put it in the bank so we couldn't touch it. But we've been gambling. I'm in my 50s. I've been gambling since I was 21. Flo's in his 30s. He's been gambling since he's 18. That's the first time we ever had any kind of craziness like that. It was
put it in perspective of how rare it is.
But boy, I was like, I need water.
It's just one of those things where it's just doubling down, and for me, it's just comes down to math again, like you were referring to earlier. A $50 bet, you get 100x, that's 5,000. So when we're playing, I'm doing those calculations like, all right, so I know we're down X amount, we're betting $1, it's smart, we're not doing good. We need to bet a little bit higher so we can get at least a 20x, 30x win, and I'll bring back this. Like, I'm doing the math calculation. So I know mathematically we need to go higher. And if we just came up money, press it. It's just like doing stocks, same thing, trading. I'm trying to scalp something in that range, and we got super lucky. So that's all that happened there.
Yeah. That was definitely luck of being in the right place at the right time, because I've never had an experience like that before.
Well, it must be kind of doubly intense for influencers, because when things go well, you're not only winning money, but you're maybe winning, you're getting good content. So it's twice as good. And then the other way is kind of the same, similar. You're losing money and you've got nothing good to show for it except the realistic losses of playing slots that you get to post.
It's good and bad with that kind of content, though, because, we got super lucky again, and it proves that unfortunately, bigger bets does get more views, and hand pays do get more views. Even though we try to do within our means of where we can bet.
Right.
But that video, is one of our highest videos on YouTube. Yep. And it does do very well, but it sucks in that way because we can't replicate that all the time. We don't have those bankrolls to be risking 10,000 to win, 11,000.
Yeah. And I think what Flo said earlier, though, is important, because he saves some of those bits. And so let's say we have a yucky session at the casino and we'll say, okay, we went with the $1,000 or we went with whatever our budget was and we played at the casino for that night. We can show the reality and then we do like a highlight of any kind of wins that we've had, show the full video. And then he'll throw one of his little filet mignons, as he calls it, in at the end, or one of those mid-tier ones, just to say, hey, thanks for sticking with us through this content. There's going to be a little something at the end. And that's how he's doing content on YouTube now. And our viewers are knowing that there's that tidbit at the end. We're still going to give you something, even if it wasn't on that trip.
That's really cool. I'm curious, do you guys ever play online, or do you have any experience playing online sweepstakes or online casino games?
So we have not really played online, especially from sweepstakes or anything like that. We do, we have other games we play online. I have played like Caesars online, just the regular, not for money, just for playing. Yeah. But I would say right now it's not something that we do on a regular basis. I know that is really starting to become something in the niche and people are really interested in that. We get a lot of offers to collaborate and with brands and to put brands forward. It's something we might do more of in the future. But to be completely honest, there's only so many hours in the day and we're at the casino and then he's working on that content. We're working jobs. He has the other niche we're in too. So it's about where we invest our time. I think if we found the right partnership that has the sense of community that we like, and so it's not just, I'm going to go play this game so that there's more to it. How do I explain it? Like the thing we love about slots is that sense of community. You've probably experienced this, right? When you're sitting next to somebody and the whole bank starts winning, man, you all become a team, right? It's us against the casino, right? I love that piece of it. And that's what I like to bring in our content. And so that's hard to do in an online gaming
That's interesting.
format.
My experience with streaming online slots is that there's a very unique sense of community and relationships that are built in that setting because you're at home. It's kind of like what we're doing right now, and you're chatting to your audience through chat in a different way, I feel like, than when you're at the casino. It's interesting. The games are cool too. It's like the multipliers, you hit 100x so much more, and bigger multipliers so much more, and the RTP is pretty good compared to land-based, and you can make content from your home, which is exciting. But I would encourage you guys to check it out. Also, the games are really fun. There's so much innovation happening in online games that it's kind of different than the land-based. I got into slots content more through online stuff, and now I'm learning so much more about land-based slots influencers. I'm curious where, we touched a little bit on it, but where do you see the space going? It feels like COVID maybe was the petri dish that really gave birth to this phenomenon, or at least the growth and popularity of it. But it still feels like we're kind of at the beginning of it. As influencers, what's your perspective on it? Where are we now, and where do you think it's heading?
I think it's going to be very interesting as casinos develop different perspectives about how they utilize influencers in digital marketing in general. Yep. I think we'll see other brands coming into the space, travel brands, etc., that are part of the casino. Because think about Vegas and what your Vegas experience was even 10 years ago, right? Even 5 years ago, for that matter. Vegas is becoming a different experience. Vegas was for players. Yeah. Vegas now is about shows and clubs and experiences, fine dining, the best DJs, right? All these different stars that are in town or that have residencies there. That's more of what people are coming to Vegas for than the gaming, right? And so I think as that continues, how a casino or, a property, I'll call it, because there's a lot that goes on in a casino that isn't gaming, how a property partners with influencers and utilizes digital marketing, right? They've been doing mailers, either via email or flyers that we get hordes of them in the mail, right? Forever.
Old school.
And there's gonna be a pivot for them, especially as newer generations come in that aren't about the flyer that comes in the mail, because younger people never even check their mail
on their iPad,
right? So I think that's going to be a very interesting turn, and I think you're already seeing it, right? Casinos didn't have social media. Anybody that you could say, like, this is our social media person, right? They call them a manager, a coordinator, whatever. It'd be like, oh, marketing does that as a side job. So now you're seeing everybody has a social media contact. They have somebody in marketing, even if it's somebody who does traditional marketing as well, focused on how the brand wants to partner. And right now we're seeing a lot of those partnerships around more of the hotel
experience.
The experience type of content. I think that will change over time as more and more people want to be involved in gaming.
So do you see a place for slots influencers in this new iteration of casino marketing?
I do, yeah. But I think it's important, and I think you said this at the very beginning, it was a very valid point. Some people come into this and just start doing content, and they're not, you have to think about it as a business, right? If somebody's going to spend money with you, what are you going to do for them as a business? Are you going to put butts in seats? Are you going to have people think about the next time they're in town that they're going to stop in and have dinner at their really nice restaurant that they have? How are you going to use your base? And what kind of base do you have? Like for us, our base is different on different platforms. Who our audience is on Instagram is different than our audience on YouTube. And you need to share that with the properties, and you need to find out what the property's goals are. That's why our relationship with Alice is so great, is like we want to help them with their goals too. What does Nick have in his mind? What is he looking for? Butts and seats is always on the table, right? But there could be other things that they're trying to do at the property or messages that they want to get out there. So I think it's being smart about how you work with properties and how you're representing the niche and how you're representing yourself from a business perspective. And that's not going to be what every influencer wants to do, but influencers who want to treat this as a business, that's going to be an important aspect.
I think it's just, you have to look at Mr. Beast. He's the one setting the bar right now, honestly, from the Amazon show that he created. People are looking for creators. They trust creators more than they trust brands. It is switching completely right now in data. Like if I want something to be reviewed, or like if I look at a product, I don't go to the website. I want to go on YouTube and see who reviewed it. All right. Which YouTuber did it? I like him. I like how his style is. And you're looking for that connection to a product or some kind of experience. It's the same thing's going to happen for the slot niche. Certain people are, I'm at this new casino. We're going to check this out. Let's see. Everyone has their certain style of how they deliver it to their audience.
That's really interesting. Have you guys ever done any meet and greets, or have you had a chance to meet any of your fans? Because I know that, you said butts and seats, and these events like Sloticon, like Slot Fiesta are becoming more common, and it seems like a really kind of valid model that could just keep growing and be used at properties all over the place. Have you had a chance to do anything like that?
We haven't done anything like that. That isn't our business plan for this year. We've talked about it with Nick. Ellis is under construction right now, so we're kind of waiting to see the best timing based on that construction. Definitely a meet and greet or like a Crow Slots weekend, something like that is in the future. But we play with people all the time. So if you're in our DMs and you say, I'm going to be in Vegas and the dates align, we're going to go hang out with you. And you'll hear us on our lives. We're like, got to step away for a minute. Somebody came to say hi. If you're going to take the time to come see us and you're watching us online, we're going to take the time to spend with you as well. So we have lots of viewers who've become friends and other influencers for that matter too, because we'll go play together. Like, hey, everybody go to Grayton on this day. Hey, everybody, we're going to be at Alice on this day. And we love people to come out and play with us. That's important.
It's so fun that, the vibe that people love about watching the content, actually going there in real life and hanging out with influencers and gambling and just hanging is so fun. It's such a cool, it just makes influencers so much more accessible than a lot of, celebrities,
totally
even influencers in other niches. It just seems like this community is very open and accessible to especially to the fans. That's so cool. I can see that we're almost at an hour, and I really appreciate all the time and generosity with your time and with your stories. Is there anything else that you want to promote or shout out before we wrap up this interview?
We're working on a website. We just bought a bunch of merch because we haven't had merch before. We have to finish building the website so we can launch it probably this weekend, we hope.
Nice. We'll have to get some Grow Slots merch for our show too.
We got beanies. We have shirts that say Team Crae and Team Flow. You know, he's mad about that.
Even
I already know. Team Crae. Everyone's gonna be wearing that shirt.
All of the ladies like to give Flo the business because, you know, when he pushes the buttons or raises my bat. Even other influencers that we play with, they're like, "Don't be doing your little button pushing." So we love that part, that, you know, that joke. I would say, you know, in this year, you'll probably see us more trying to work with brands and do more in that space. You know, I'm glad that you brought up online gaming. It's something we're thinking about and who that right partner would be that fits with our model and what we're trying to do. So I think those are the big things for us this year, just continuing to organically grow the channel, continue to do collabs with properties and with other influencers, and have fun together.
Definitely.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Crae and Flow. I'm so grateful that you came on the show, and I'm really excited to hopefully one day meet you in real life at a meet and greet or play some slots together. And we'll definitely be promoting your channel and your new website when it comes out on SlotsFan.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate you.